Every spring, he'd prepare for the busiest season of the year, organizing parts and scheduling repairs for the lawnmowers and garden equipment that suburbanites depended on to maintain their properties. His mechanical expertise was legendary among regular customers, but when armed criminals targeted his shop, they discovered his expertise extended beyond small engine repair. Welcome to True Human Tales. Before we begin this powerful story of hidden courage and neighborhood heroism, tell me in the comments from which city in the world are you watching this video today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button to support the channel. Dave's small engine repair occupied a converted garage in a mixed commercial and residential neighborhood where small businesses served local communities with personal attention that chain stores couldn't match. The shop had operated for 12 years, building a reputation for honest diagnostics, quality repairs, and the kind of reliable service that made suburban homeowners willing to drive past larger competitors to work with someone they trusted. The workshop itself reflected decades of mechanical expertise, tool benches organized with systematic precision, parts inventory arranged by equipment type and frequency of use, and diagnostic equipment that allowed Dave to identify problems that less experienced mechanics might miss. The space accommodated everything from push mowers to riding tractors, with specialized areas for different types of repairs and seasonal storage for customers who lacked garage space. Dave's customer base included everyone from elderly homeowners who depended on reliable equipment to maintain properties they could no longer manage themselves, to young families discovering that suburban living required mechanical knowledge they'd never needed in apartments, to landscaping professionals whose businesses depended on equipment that performed consistently under demanding conditions. At 58, Dave Kowalski moved with the efficient confidence of someone who'd spent decades working with mechanical systems that required both technical knowledge and physical strength. His hands bore the permanent stains of someone who worked with engines daily. His work clothes carried the scent of oil and gasoline that customers associated with honest mechanical work. And his diagnostic abilities were legendary among regular customers who'd learned to trust his assessments. Dave's expertise went far beyond simple repair work. He could listen to an engine and diagnose problems that might not become apparent to other mechanics until after expensive and time-consuming disassembly. His parts knowledge allowed him to suggest alternatives when original components were unavailable or prohibitively expensive, and his mechanical modifications could extend equipment life far beyond manufacturer specifications. Regular customers had developed genuine relationships with Dave over the years, often combining equipment maintenance visits with conversations about gardening techniques, neighborhood developments, and the seasonal challenges that suburban property ownership presented. The Patterson family brought their riding mower for comprehensive annual service each spring and always consulted Dave about lawn care strategies that would minimize future mechanical problems. Small landscaping businesses appreciated Dave's willingness to prioritize emergency repairs that could prevent costly equipment downtime during peak growing season, and his after-hours availability for urgent repairs had saved several local contractors from missing important commercial deadlines. What made Dave exceptional wasn't just his mechanical knowledge or customer service, though both were considerable, but his ability to provide the kind of reliable support that made suburban life manageable for people who lacked technical expertise. He could explain problems in terms that non-mechanical customers could understand, provide realistic estimates for repair costs versus replacement decisions, and somehow always found ways to keep older equipment operational for customers on limited budgets. Dave's workshop was organized with the systematic efficiency that professional mechanics require to locate specific parts and tools quickly during the demanding pace of seasonal repair cycles. His inventory represented a significant investment in spare parts maintained in climate-controlled storage conditions that prevented deterioration. His comprehensive tool collection included specialized diagnostic equipment that most customers had never encountered, and his technical reference library covered virtually every piece of small engine equipment manufactured over the past 30 years. The workshop's layout maximized efficiency while maintaining safety protocols that protected both Dave and his customers during equipment testing and repair operations. Spring season brought Dave's busiest period, when months of winter storage revealed mechanical problems that needed immediate attention before lawn care season began in earnest. His scheduling during March and April resembled air traffic control, with customers dropping off equipment and coordinating pickup times that accommodated both repair complexity and seasonal urgency that suburban lawn maintenance demanded. What customers didn't know was that Dave's exceptional diagnostic abilities and systematic approach to problem solving had been developed in contexts that required considerably more precision than lawnmower repair. His ability to maintain detailed records, coordinate complex scheduling, and work efficiently under pressure came from 15 years as a municipal groundskeeper and 12 additional years as an off-duty police officer working security for community events and public facilities. Groundskeeper Dave Kowalski had worked from 1978 to 1993 for the city's Parks and Recreation Department, maintaining athletic fields, public gardens, and recreational facilities that served thousands of residents daily. His responsibilities included everything from routine landscape maintenance to emergency repairs of irrigation systems and playground equipment that required immediate attention to prevent public safety hazards. His off-duty police work from 1993 to 2005 involved security coordination for community festivals, sports events, and public gatherings where crowd management and emergency response required law enforcement expertise combined with knowledge of public facility operations. His experience included coordinating with municipal services during events that attracted thousands of participants to public spaces that needed both maintenance and security supervision. Dave's transition to civilian repair work had been carefully planned after experiences that had taught him to value the satisfaction that came from fixing problems rather than managing them. His repair shop represented everything he'd learned to appreciate about community service, helping neighbors solve problems, maintaining equipment that people depended on, and building relationships based on competence and trustworthiness rather than authority. The neighborhood's residents knew Dave was former city groundskeeper and occasional security work, but they had no idea of the scope of his experience coordinating maintenance and security operations for large-scale public events. His job transition seemed natural for someone whose mechanical expertise and community connections made him perfect for neighborhood small business operations. What they didn't know was that Dave's workshop included more than standard repair equipment. The locked tool cabinet contained detailed records of neighborhood activity patterns and security concerns, information he'd compiled through his combination of community connections and law enforcement experience. His communication equipment could monitor police frequencies when necessary, and his workshop layout included security features that reflected his understanding of both public safety and crime prevention. For 12 years, Dave had found deep satisfaction in his repair work. Keeping suburban equipment operational had gradually replaced his responsibilities for maintaining public facilities, and the steady rhythm of seasonal repair cycles had allowed him to serve his community without the bureaucratic complications that public employment involved. His greatest pleasure came from helping families maintain properties that represented their most significant investments and seeing neighbors succeed in the suburban lifestyle challenges that quality equipment made manageable. Saturday, April 13th, was exactly the kind of busy spring day that made Dave's seasonal planning essential. His workshop was filled with lawn mowers, garden tractors, and landscaping equipment that customers needed operational for the growing season that was already beginning with warmer weather and longer daylight hours. The combination of seasonal urgency and weekend convenience brought steady customer traffic throughout the day. Dave had arrived at 6 a.m. to organize the day's repair schedule and ensure that promised equipment would be ready for customer pickup. By 10 a.m., his workshop was operating at full capacity with repair projects in various stages of completion and customers arriving to drop off additional equipment that would need attention before lawn care season reached peak demand. During the midday period when spring repair season brought maximum customer activity to small engine repair shops throughout the suburban area, Dave was diagnosing a riding mower transmission problem when he noticed them. Two men approaching his shop with the purposeful movement that Dave's trained eye recognized as more than casual interest in lawnmower repairs. They wore work clothing that was clean enough to suggest recent purchase rather than regular use, and they moved with the coordinated attention that Dave's law enforcement experience had taught him to identify as surveillance behavior. Dave's threat assessment protocols, refined through years of providing security for public events where crowd behavior could indicate developing problems, began processing warning signals with automatic precision. The men's approach patterns were wrong. They were studying the workshop layout and cash handling procedures rather than examining equipment or asking about repair services. Their attention focused on valuable equipment and business operations rather than the mechanical problems that should have been their primary concern as potential customers. Dave continued his normal repair work without changing his routine, but his awareness shifted into the heightened state that had once made him valuable for security operations, where early threat recognition could prevent serious problems. He mentally mapped his workshop's layout, noting customer positions, valuable equipment, and the communication and security systems he'd quietly installed during his first year of business operation. The men positioned themselves strategically around the main work area where customers were conducting transactions and examining repaired equipment. Their placement suggested preparation for robbery operations rather than legitimate business, and their timing coincided with the Saturday afternoon period when weekly cash accumulation and valuable equipment inventory created attractive targets for criminal enterprises. At 1:27 p.m., during the spring season's peak business hours when repair shops typically handled substantial cash transactions and housed expensive equipment awaiting customer pickup, Dave's suspicions were confirmed when he observed one of the men communicate with someone outside through what appeared to be discreet hand signals. The coordination suggested planned criminal activity rather than spontaneous opportunism. Dave realized that he was witnessing the preparation phase of what small business security called a seasonal robbery operation, an attack designed to target repair shops during their highest revenue periods when cash receipts and valuable inventory would be concentrated in predictable locations. Dave's spring season operation was perfect for such criminal targeting. Substantial cash transactions, expensive equipment inventory, and security protocols designed for customer service rather than armed robbery defense. As Dave prepared to implement emergency procedures, he observed the first man reach toward what appeared to be a concealed weapon, while positioning himself to control the main workshop area where customers were conducting business transactions. The sight of potential weapons in his community-oriented workspace triggered Dave's protective instincts with an intensity that transcended his 12 years of peaceful repair work. That's when Dave stopped being a repair shop owner and became a community protector again. Dave's response combined the public safety expertise he'd developed during his groundskeeper and security career with intimate knowledge of his workshop's layout and systems that he'd acquired through 12 years of daily operation. His first priority was protecting the customers and neighbors who depended on his shop for essential services and had no experience with the kind of criminal targeting that Dave had encountered during his law enforcement work. The workshop's security system, which Dave had installed using knowledge gained from his police security experience, activated comprehensive protection protocols that isolated the criminal threat while protecting customers. His understanding of crowd psychology and emergency management allowed him to coordinate customer safety without creating panic that could have made the situation more dangerous. Dave's service weapon, a Smith & Wesson M&P shield that he'd maintained according to off-duty police protocols throughout his civilian career, came from the locked tool cabinet where he'd kept it accessible but secure for exactly this type of community emergency. His position in the workshop provided excellent tactical oversight of the main business areas, and his years of daily observation had given him intimate knowledge of every sightline and defensive advantage. The armed men had expected to control a small business owner whose compliance would provide easy access to cash receipts and valuable equipment inventory. What they encountered instead was organized resistance delivered by someone who understood both community security requirements and the specific layout and operational systems of the facility they'd chosen to attack. Dave's security training enabled him to coordinate defensive positions while simultaneously managing customer protection through evacuation routes that took advantage of the workshop's design features. The repair equipment and parts inventory became tactical assets that provided cover and protection while allowing Dave to maintain defensive control of the situation. Dave's communication expertise, developed through years of coordinating public safety operations during community events, provided responding law enforcement with precise information about threat levels in civilian locations. His familiarity with police tactical procedures ensured that emergency responders could coordinate their approach without confusion or friendly fire incidents that could endanger the customers he was protecting. Within 14 minutes, the threat was neutralized, the workshop was secure, and the 12-plus customers who had brought equipment for spring season repairs were safe from an attack that could have traumatized the neighborhood's small business community. Dave's immediate threat recognition and protective response had prevented what would have become a crime that could have forced closure of a business that dozens of families depended on for essential services. The security procedures that Dave implemented proved their effectiveness as customers were protected with minimal disruption and no civilian casualties. Customers later described how Dave had remained calm and professional throughout the crisis, managing the emergency with the competence they'd come to expect from his mechanical expertise, applied to a completely different kind of problem. The investigation revealed the scope of the planned operation, a targeted robbery designed to exploit seasonal cash flow patterns at small repair shops when spring equipment maintenance generated maximum revenue and inventory concentrations. The criminals had researched neighborhood business operations and seasonal patterns with thoroughness that suggested professional planning rather than opportunistic crime. What they hadn't researched was Dave Kowalski. The police investigators who debriefed Dave were familiar with his background and understood immediately why the attack had failed so completely. 15 years of municipal groundskeeping that required public safety awareness, 12 years of off-duty police security work, and 12 years of intimate knowledge of neighborhood business operations and community security needs. Dave's small engine repair resumed normal operations the following Monday with enhanced security measures and a new appreciation from customers who realized that their trusted mechanic had protected more than just their lawn mowers. Dave returned to his repair work with the same quiet professionalism that had made him a neighborhood institution, fixing equipment with the same dedication that had made him valuable to both his public service career and his small business operation. The only visible change was a small acknowledgement from neighborhood customers who began recommending Dave's services with stories that emphasized both his mechanical expertise and his community commitment. Dave had requested that media attention focus on the importance of supporting local small businesses rather than the security incident that could have ended his ability to serve neighbors who depended on reliable equipment maintenance. Because some people transition from public service to community service without ever stopping their commitment to protecting the people and places they care about. Dave had spent 15 years maintaining public spaces and 12 years providing security for community events, and 12 years helping neighbors maintain private spaces that contributed to neighborhood stability and property values. The engines were different, but the mission remained consistent: provide reliable service that helps communities function while standing ready to protect community members from those who would cause harm through criminal activity targeting local businesses. So now I ask you, have you ever met someone like Dave? Someone who seemed like just a friendly repair shop owner until the moment they revealed the depths of their expertise and dedication? Someone whose daily presence made you feel safer without knowing why? Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today, and share their story with us. And if you believe stories like this need to be heard, hit that subscribe button and help us make sure they are. We publish human stories that matter every single week. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next story. And remember, sometimes the person fixing your lawnmower knows more about protecting your neighborhood than you could ever imagine.